Good evening and welcome to Safe Space, a mentorship platform. My name is Noeline Mumbi. I am a strategic supply chain leader and a growth mentor. This evening, I am joined by Beatrice Ithau, a media advertising professional, speaker, and digital creator. Good evening, Beatrice.
Good evening, Noeline.
Thank you so much for accepting my invite to come in as our mentor this evening. I'm going to introduce you, Beatrice, and I'm just going to switch our deck a little bit and then read. Oh, okay, let me not do that right now. And then read through your profile just to introduce you to the audience. So, with over a decade of experience in media advertising, Beatrice has had the privilege of working with both international and local brands, driving successful campaigns across diverse sectors and markets. Her journey has been fueled by a passion for enabling brands to connect with their audiences in meaningful ways. But her expertise goes beyond just media and advertising. As a speaker and digital creator, she is deeply committed to personal growth and helping others unlock their potential. Through her content and speaking engagements, she inspires people to take bold steps towards their goals, empowering them to just start and pursue their goals with confidence. In December 2022, she launched the Goal Setter Sessions, a platform dedicated to helping individuals set and achieve their personal and professional goals. Over 9 sessions, this initiative has transformed lives, providing actionable insights and strategies to foster personal growth and success. Beatrice is passionate about making a positive impact in every space she enters and is driven to create a global impact. Karibu sana, Beatrice.
Thank you so much, Noeline. I truly appreciate and I'm honored to be in this space. You know, when you reached out to me, I was like, wow, I'm so excited because one of the things that I love to do is I love to tell people, you know what, have a goal, go after it, and keep on setting the next goal. So I'm so happy once again that I'm honored that you reached out to me and you told me, you know what, you need to have this session to talk about how we can set smart goals. And this is such an important conversation because we are 5 months in before we end 2024. And I know that this session is going to be useful. And I think it's also critical conversation, even as we look at how far we have come and what we can be able to achieve in the next coming months. So I'm excited. So if anyone who is joining us, let's go through this together. And I want to start by saying thank you for choosing to grow. You know, you would have decided to be anywhere else. You know, we are in evening joining from Kenya. Maybe you are joining us from a different country. Maybe it's a different time. You know, thank you. I want to appreciate you for choosing to be with us, and as you honor your journey. I think one of the things when you are working towards your personal growth is recognizing, you know, the strength in every challenge, even as you work on your goals, and the wisdom in every lesson. And for me, I've made sure as I put together this presentation is what value you can be able to get so that you get wisdom as you work towards your goals. I always love to ask questions because I think questions probe us to really look internally and see and assess ourselves. So as you go through this session, I want you to ask yourself the following questions, like, what's one goal you want to achieve? I know you'll be like, okay, Beatrice, is it only one? No, I'm not trying to minimize. You can have as many goals, but I want, as you go through this session, is look at that one key critical goal that you want to achieve for yourself in the next, maybe it's in the next 5 months, maybe in the next 1 year. What's one goal you want to achieve? Then the second question I want you to ask yourself is what area when it comes to setting of your goals you're struggling in. And why I ask this question is so that even as we go through this session of setting smart goals, you're able to pinpoint, oh, actually, this is one area where I'm struggling in, and maybe perhaps based on what I share, you can be able to make an adjustment where you can be able to reach your goal even faster. The third question I'd love for you to ask yourself is, what's one thing you can begin to do today? Usually, why I think that last question is so important is because usually when we go through such a session, you could be like, oh my goodness, there are many things I need to do. And that's why I want to begin by telling you what's one thing you can begin to do to achieve, even as you're setting your SMART goal, working towards your goal, that you can begin to do today. And I'm excited as we go through this. This quote is very, very, very important because a goal properly set is halfway reached. If you are planning to run a marathon, it's so important that what type of marathon, how many kilometers, what do I need to do, how is the landscape. And as you are working towards your goal, equally you need to know, if you set your goal clearly, you've already halfway made it through. So it's now, what's the next half step that I would need to take so that I can be able to even make that goal real. And so as we go through this, I want you to say that, the best time to plant seeds was yesterday, but the next best time is now. And the time is now, so that maybe there are seeds you have been planting the last couple of months, or the last couple of years, and you're like, okay, I need this seed to begin to germinate. And the next best time is now. What can you be able to do now? And this relates to the question I was asking you, what can you do today now, so that, when you're beginning to get the harvest, you are working towards something that is substantial and something that is realistic. And we'll talk about that even as we go through today's session. And the other thing, I always say, let me bring it closer home. I remember in December 2021, I was asked an important question by my then finance coach. And he told me, okay, Beatrice, who is Beatrice at 40? So if you are in this session, ask yourself, who are you at 35? Who are you at 40? Who are you at 45, 50? Round off to the next 10 or the next 5. Who are you at that age? I know we're talking about SMART goals, but I think this is so important. And why I'm asking that question is because, what is your vision? For me, I was going there, I wanted to have a financial goal, but he took me a step back and he told me, no, Beatrice, what is that vision that you are working towards, so that we can know this is the goal that you need to set for yourself? And that really intrigued me, because I needed to go deeper and find out, okay, who's Beatrice going to be at 40? And one of the things, and Noeline, you have introduced me as a media advertising professional. It was something that it's a role that I had worked for more than a decade. And for me, I mean, 5 years ago, I had not seen Beatrice at 40 who's going to be a speaker. And so when I started doing my vision and having worked on my vision board, I realized, oh, that's why it was important for me to decide, who is Beatrice going to be at 40? Who's Beatrice going to be at 45? Who is she going to be at 50? So even as you're in this session and you're working towards your goal, also take a step back and ask yourself, what is a vision you have for yourself? And it could be for your family, for your business, for your career, even as you're working towards the goal that you want to set for yourself. And why vision? Vision is your ultimate harvest. The goals are the steps in the planting process. But ultimately, even as you have your goal, you should also consider, what is the vision that I have for myself? Because the vision is more broader. The vision is more long-term, even as you're working towards, having that SMART goal, and achieving it. I think it was important for me to highlight that, even as we talk about how do you set SMART goals and why it's important to have a vision. A lot of us, when we were younger, when we were asked, what do you want to be in the next 5 years, 10 years? Who do you want to be when you grow up? We would always say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a pilot, we all had things. And I feel like as we grow older, we stop dreaming as we grow older, because of just how life sometimes can get. We stop having a dream, having a vision of what we need to be, or what we need to do, or what impact we need to be able to, to drive in the various areas where we are. And it's important to have a vision because it provides direction and purpose. Your vision allows you to dream, it inspires, it motivates you. And when we're talking about goals, of course there's a lot of planning that happens, and I'll take you through the steps through as we go through this session. Your vision facilitates strategic planning. One of the things that we have here in Kenya, we have a Vision 2030. Years ago, it looked very far off, but we are actually six years to Vision 2030. So for you, if the country has a vision, for you as an individual, you need to have a vision for yourself. And people would ask me, okay, how long should my vision be? Your vision is personal. You can have a 1 year vision. People have vision boards for themselves for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. It allows you to dream. It allows you to be like, who do I need to be? Who do I want to become? What is the thing that is driving me to achieve this goal? That happens when you have a vision. So I'd want to encourage anyone who's in this session, begin to think, what is a vision I have for myself, for my career, for my family, and the different aspects when it comes to goal setting. Ask yourself, what is my vision? And so today we are looking at how can you set smart goals. How can you set smart goals? It's so important. We are here talking about vision, but now we are now narrowing it down to smart goals. How do you do this? And you know, a smart goal, and I know a lot of you who are joining in already know what a smart goal is in terms of, it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's relevant, and a smart goal is time bound. And why it's important to have a smart goal, and I have examples of, where perhaps a lot of us uh, could be in the journey of setting goals, but perhaps we just need to tweak it just a bit to make it a smart goal. Remember, when you talk about goals, you need to be very clear. When you're very specific, you're very clear. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to set for myself. And we'll look at that as we talk about how do you make your goal specific. Having a measurable goals. A lot of the times when it comes to tracking, we always look at it from maybe from a financial perspective. It could be a fitness goal you have and you want to track. But how can you track other goals that perhaps you have for yourself so that you have a measurable goal so that you know what you're working towards? And I think this is where the thing that, you are somebody, the goal you have, is it attainable? The goal you have, is it attainable? And this is where we'll talk about, the goal you have, is it realistic? And you know why I started by talking about having a vision? Because, when your goal is relevant to you, it's driving you towards achieving a certain purpose. I believe purpose is so important. If you are in this live session, what is your purpose? What is your mission that you have for yourself? Because a lot of the times when we work towards goals at the beginning of the year, sometimes we can be carried away. We can be carried away by a trend. People are doing this, and you start working on the goal and you fall off because the goal was not relevant to you. The goal perhaps was not relevant to your season. And so we'll talk about that when it comes to relevant and time bound. I think I don't know about you, but a lot of people work better when you have a deadline. And so when you're having a goal, is it time bound towards a particular, is it a month, is it a year that you have given yourself to work towards that goal? We'll talk about it. But setting a smart goal enables you to have clarity, and I think clarity is so important. Wherever you are joining this live session, I want you to just look around, and I want to ask you, how many things that have the color white Are you able to count the number of things that have the color white around where you are? If it's in a room, or maybe you are in a particular place. How many things can you see that have the color white? I know you can easily spot that because I was very.
13.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you're very clear. Thank you so much for that, Noeline. You're very clear. I told you white. And so for when it comes to setting of goals, you need to be very clear. What's a thing I'm working towards? I remember sharing in one of, I also create content, and I was sharing in a video. I was telling people, like, the time that I was looking for a red car, I wanted my first car to be red. There's something I love about the color red. I wanted my first car to be red in color. And so when I started now the journey of looking for a red car, I saw so many red cars on the road. And because I was very specific, and I even had a particular make, I was very specific. And so when you're working towards a goal and you're very specific, if you can literally see it everywhere because you've narrowed down to what exactly you want. And even as we look about and we talked about time bound, at the end of the day, you are motivated when you know what exactly you want. Because I recently did a media goal session, and one of the things that came very clear is that, once you're clear about something, and once you work towards something, and once you begin to achieve it, there's a sense of motivation, because you have a clear roadmap in terms of what you want to achieve. So we'll be going through what specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And you can go back to that initial goal I had asked you. Look at that goal and look at it through these steps, and see for that particular goal, is it a smart goal? How can I, as you're going through this session, maybe you already have a notebook, or maybe you have a place where you can note it down and begin to make it a smart goal. Let's make this very practical and make it very real for you, so that you find value as we go through this session. So the first thing we look at is SMART goals, very specific. And I want us to start with, the most important thing is, the more specific you are with what you want, the more likely you are to achieve it. And being very specific also comes from clarity. If you look at that particular photo, you see there's so many roads. If you are very clear, this is the one path I want to take, you're very specific. But sometimes when it comes to setting of goals, you are very, you can either get carried away, and you're like, okay, maybe let me try this, let me try this, let me try this. But I say, be very specific, be very clear. If you're traveling from, I know somebody could say, you can use many routes, which is fine, towards achieving that goal, but be very clear. This is the outcome that you want for yourself. So the more specific you are, and the more likely you are to achieve it. And because it gives you clarity, and clarity in your goals leads to clarity in your actions, and clarity when it comes to, your outcome. I asked you earlier, can you see any white thing around you? And, Noeline, you said 13, because you are clear. This is what I'm looking for. Your action was to look and to count, and the outcome is 13. And similarly, when it comes to, maybe it's a health goal, a fitness goal, maybe if it's you're also having a relationship goal, you have to be very clear. What do you want? And what are the actions that I need to take, so that you will be able to know, this is the outcome that I intend to achieve. So I put this into some of the goals, goals that sometimes we hear, and maybe some of us, we have found ourselves making, you're very non-specific. Some of us say, I want to be more successful in my job. I mean, that's good. But can you make it more specific? Somebody could say, I want to improve my skills. There's so many skills. You have to be very specific. So if you want to make that goal more clear, more, if you are to tell anyone, they would know, oh, this is what exactly you want to achieve. So a career goal could be, you want to earn a certification, maybe it's in data science. You can also include the particular institution you'd want to sign up for that certification. Include a date. Is it by December 2024? And why do you want to do it? To enhance your skills and to qualify for a promotion to a senior data analyst role. So if you look at it, there's more information, more specific. There's even a time that has been given towards it. So you know, okay, this person is very specific. And you can then therefore tell the outcome, as opposed to saying you want to improve your skills. You know, it's very vague. Another goal could be, maybe you are somebody who works in sales. Your role includes sales. You know, you could say you want to increase your sales revenue by 15% within the next 6 months by expanding my client base and improving my closing rates through targeted training and networking. Very specific in terms of the outcome. So at the end of the 6 months, you can be able to tell, have I reached the 15%? And you even, you know, there's more information. What do you need to do by expanding your client base? So if you look at it, a lot of times when I ask people, you know, how many, what do you want to, what is your goal? You know, they'll say, they'll be very non-specific. And so I'm glad that we're having this session so that you can look at that one goal and make it very specific. Include a time period, include maybe why, include how, so that you're very clear. This is how I want to. This is how I want to achieve it, and this is by what time frame. And you can even include other elements, like if you see, if you want to go back to school, which particular institution would you want to do the course. So be very specific. And this can also apply when it comes to a financial goal. This can apply when it comes to a fitness goal. This can also apply when it comes to a relationship goal. So then the essence is, how do you add more information so that you're very specific? It's the same way when you are going to buy a phone. You know, you have, you know, every phone has a specification. You know, it's if you're using a camera, it has this type of clarity. You know, this is the memory. It's very specific. So look at it as, when you're putting your goal, how can I be as specific as possible, so I know what I'm working towards. And so we've looked at how you can make your goal specific. The next thing is, you know, the next step is, how do I make this goal measurable? And I love this quote. You know, I saw it and I was like, this hits home. What gets measured gets managed. What gets measured gets managed. You know, one of the things that a lot of financial coaches, anyone in finance will ask, you know, most coaches will ask you, are you tracking your finances? Because if you're not tracking, you can't be able to tell where your money is going. And so this can apply in any other aspect when it comes to any facet of your goal. It could be a health goal, a fitness goal. How can you get it measured? Because if you cannot measure it, you can't manage it. And so we look at, how can you be able to measure your goals. Maybe you have been measuring it a certain way. Maybe there's another way you can see from what I share, so that you can be able to see, okay, in this particular aspect, maybe I need to add this, maybe I need to relook this. You know, number one, define maybe a specific metric, you know. So for example, you want to improve sales, you know, set a measurable goal in terms of, I aim to increase my sales by 15% within the next quarter. You know, maybe I want to save 5,000 by December 2024. It's very specific, and you can measure. You can tell whether you have saved 5,000, 2,000, 1,000, because it's very measurable. Similarly, when it comes to health, I think it's also easy. You can tell by either if you're working with BMI, or if you're working with pounds or kgs. You can make it as specific as possible. And you know, the next thing is, you know, is it quantifiable milestone? You know, is it you know, once you've said maybe by 15%, maybe can you break it down further? You know, so for instance, if your goal is to write a book, maybe there are authors, you know, there are upcoming authors in the house. Maybe you can say you want to write 500 words a day. You know, now you're breaking it down into making it quantifiable. Or maybe you say you want to complete one chapter each month. One of the things that I have been doing since December last year, you know, I try to aim to read a book every month. So one of the ways I make it measurable is that I say every day, Monday to Friday, I commit 30 minutes towards working towards reading the book. and I see it's very measurable. Like as I think even yesterday, I'm currently reading a book, Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck, and I've been doing an audio read, and I still have six more hours to go to finish the book. And I told myself, okay, if I'm doing 30 minutes, that means in the next 12 days, that will allow me to complete that book. So for you, depending on whether the goal is financial, health, a fitness goal, make it as quantifiable as possible. Remember, what gets measured gets managed. And the other way you can, it's a very good way. These days we have very many ways in which you can track your goals. There are many ways. It could be through a spreadsheet. It could be through an app. There are very many apps, and apps can actually even help you to even form habits based on the type of goal you are working towards. Or it could be a book that records. I'm one of the people who are very, I can say, old school. I love tracking a lot when it comes to writing down. So you can see what works for you. And the app, if you look at any app store, there are very many tracking apps. If it's a financial goal, if it's a health goal, if it's a even if it's a relationship goal, there are very many apps that are available on any place or depending on your phone make. And this will allow you because I realized the app that works for me may not work for you. And so look at the app stores, see what works for you depending on the goal, and begin to track. One of the things happened that really surprised me because I think around either March or April, I was reading the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And I really encourage anyone who's listening to this session, grab that book. If one of the challenges you are facing when it comes to goal setting is how can I be consistent, that is an amazing book. And when I read that book, one of the things that Darren Hardy says is that if there's an area within, that's why I started by asking you, what's one goal? That one goal that you have, begin to track that goal. I'm telling you, it will amaze you the amount of things that you will be able to see once you begin to track that goal. So once I started tracking my finances, for me, I mentioned that I'm old school. So I was writing down my transactions, and I realized, wow, actually, there are many things I need to change. And why was I able to see that? Because I was tracking. So I would encourage anyone, if you want to make more progress, if you want more insight into whether you're working towards or you're not, there are areas where you need to improve, begin to track that goal. It gives you data, and that data can help you see where you need to adjust or where you need to amend. So we've looked at how you can make your goal specific, how you can begin to make your goal measurable. So the next thing is, how can you make this goal attainable? Remember, I started by asking you, what is one goal you want to achieve? And as you reflect on that goal, is that a goal that you can achieve in the next 5 months, in the next 1 year? And it's important because, your goal, when you're working towards your goal, it should scare you a little bit in the sense that it should be something that will move you beyond your comfort zone. And it should also excite you, whatever you're working towards should excite you because it's something that is either going to grow you in whatever area of your life, but it should be something that is within your reach. Setting attainable goals keeps the journey challenging yet possible. When I started working on let me look at it from the broader perspective. When I started working on my vision, and of course now trickling it down to my goals, it amazes me what you can be able to do once you have something in sight, even though it's not available now. And so one of the things that I heard from Mel Robbins, if anyone knows her, she really talks about a lot of inspiration, motivation, and such type of content. She says you need to look for your sweet spots when you're working on your goal. Your sweet spot is something that moves you beyond your comfort zone, and also something that is realistic. Especially when we begin the year, a lot of us get so excited. I know I can be able to achieve this, but it's something that is attainable. And when you look at something that's attainable, you need to ask yourself a couple of things. You need to begin by assessing, is it something that I can be able to achieve? Depending on the type of goal, with my current resources, with my current skills, do I have limitation when it comes to working on this goal? For example, if you're setting a productivity, you start by analyzing your current workload. Identify realistic improvements based on your available time and energy. If it's a fitness goal, assess your resources and constraints. Maybe for now you may not be able to go to a gym, but what can you do at home? So this allows you to evaluate your resources. I think a lot of us, when we start working on goals, we can get excited, but I think it's you need to take a step back and evaluate. And once you evaluate, you break it down into smaller steps. Something that you can, it's manageable for you depending on your resources, depending on your time. So for example, if your goal is to complete a project, set smaller deadlines for each phase of the project. And let me tell you, once you break down a goal into smaller projects, you avoid procrastination. You're able to even measure the progress because you're doing it in bits, and it makes the overall goal more attainable. So depending on the one goal, assess, is it a goal that is is attainable for me? And attainable in the sense that don't make it so easy. I can you can achieve this. Make it just a bit scary, and scary is personal for everyone. So a goal that is moving you beyond your comfort zone. And I think it's important to set realistic timelines. We'll talk about, of course, making it time bound, but establish a deadline. A lot of us can get excited, avoid setting overly ambitious timelines. As what happens, you get frustrated. So, for example, if you aim to improve your fitness, set a goal to exercise 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. Just, just start with that time. Make it realistic. If you're somebody who has a busy schedule, what can you do with what you have? If 5 days is more attainable, then if 5 days is more attainable than aiming for an hour every day from the start. See what you can start with, you know. See what you can start with, and something that you can be able to sustain. There's one thing starting a goal, but it's also another thing sustaining a goal. And that's why you need to make it as realistic as possible. The only way you can get closer to your goal is if you purpose on working on that goal daily. It may not be daily, it could be weekly, but the most important thing is consistency. And that how that consistency also happens when you make it realistic. And we've talked about how you can make it realistic. Begin by evaluating. So we've looked at how can you make attainable goals. I think this is so important, because sometimes we can get ambitious, which I think is good. I also believe I am a firm believer that miracles can happen, but I also say that even though miracles can happen, what is realistic with what you have now that you can work towards? And so we've looked at how you can make your goal smart, how you can make it measurable. We've looked at attainable, working towards that sweet spot. And the other thing is, how can you make your goal relevant? What is relevant to me is not relevant to you. Something may be so in line with your purpose, and so you're driven by that goal. So you have to realize and look deeper in within. And that's why I said by asking, what's your vision? Because your goal should be aligned with your long-term vision and your values. Relevant goals are the ones that truly matter to you. And when they matter to you, it drives you to work towards your purpose. So make sure, is that goal relevant to you? It could be a goal that somebody is so excited to work towards, but it does not excite you. So it's not relevant to you. And how do that goal is relevant to you? It aligns with your core values and visions. There are people who are so enthusiastic about certain things, and to you, it does not even move you, because it doesn't align with your core values. It doesn't align with your vision. So, for example, if your core value is personal growth, which is one of my, my values, set goals that focus on skill development, learning opportunities, those type of values. If you're somebody who values, There are people who value family. So what type of goals do you put around family? If you have somebody who values career, it has to align with your value and it connects with your current priorities. At the end of the day, if you are currently focused on maybe career advancement, because that is something that is within your season now, set goals that will enhance your professional skills and contribute directly to your career goals. Maybe it's a health goal that you have, connect it to your current priorities. It depends on your season of life, I realize as you go through life, you realize certain goals may work well depending on your season. There could be an area where a season has passed, and you're insisting with that goal. So connect your goals with your current priorities because you find yourself motivated and more energetic to work towards it. Another way you can be able to set relevant goals is like seek feedback. Assess yourself. We've talked about evaluating, but I think it's also important to seek feedback. And the ways you can be able to seek feedback depending on your goals, you could get mentors, you could have peers, you could have advisors. If it's a career goal, you could get a coach who could help you to align your goals with your new direction. If it's a fitness goal you have, maybe it could be a coach who could help you when it comes to your fitness. Maybe it's a relationship. There are also coaches that can help you and guide you, and this allows you to we always say that when you're driving there's a blind spot. And how can you tell? Sometimes blind spots that we have in life can be told by somebody who is not in the driver's seat. So seek feedback and reassess your goals regularly. And if you can share that goal with somebody who you trust and somebody who has your best interests at heart, you can be really surprised on the information that they share with you that could help you even achieve that goal even faster. So make sure your goal is relevant. It's relevant to your season, relevant to your values, and relevant to the purpose that you have for yourself. So we are looking at the last one, which is time bound. And time bound is so important because the difference between a goal and a wish is the timeline. So, you would say, you want to update your skills by when? I want to get to this BMI by when? I want to travel by when? Have a date, set a time frame. And when you set a time frame, it begins to turn your goal into a reality. And a lot of the times, a lot of us work better when you have a deadline. So give yourself a timeline. If I want to write this book, I want to finish it by when? If I want to launch this program, I want to do it by when? Can make that goal very specific when it comes to a time. It could be a month, it could be a day, it could be a week, it could be an year. Give it a timeline. And ways you can make that goal time bound, give it a deadline. Give it a specific deadline. I'll learn a new skill. Set a goal. I'll complete an online course. If you're doing digital marketing, give it by a date. And why it's so important? So that you can begin to plan your resources around it. You can plan things around it because you've given yourself a deadline. And even when it comes to timeline, it's also breaking it down. If you look at it, a lot of the acronyms we've seen when it comes to making a goal smart, a lot of the time you see what I've mentioned is breaking it down. Because I want working on your goals to be easier. And even when it comes to working on making your goal time bound, divide that goal into smaller time bound tasks. So for instance, if you want to write a book, set a deadline for completing each chapter within specific time frames. Let me tell you, that avoids procrastination. That also helps you to measure progress, you know. So set a time for it, and depending on the goal that you have put for yourself, even when it comes to having a vision that you have for yourself, you also put timelines. So set a time to achieve that particular goal. And these days, I think we're living in such a world where there are many apps that can help you. There are calendars, there are project management apps, depending on the project you are working on. There are very many time techniques. One of the things that I'm trying to do. Making sure that I have 1 hour focus on a particular activity. Maybe for you it could be 30 minutes you're focusing to work on a particular activity, and then putting one of the ways in which I know is I'll put a timer. 30 minutes is I'm reading. I mentioned to you that I try to make sure that I read 30 minutes every day, Monday to Friday. So put a timer. And regularly review these timelines to ensure you're meeting your deadlines. If it's a timer to ensure you put that time to work towards it, or if it's a timeline that ensures that you meet that deadline. You know, time is important. Time is of essence. And if you work on a goal within the particular time, it even makes it easier for you. So I have really, really enjoyed taking you through that. And I wanted to just share, how do you make, somebody could be like, Beatrice, how do I make it a smart goal? So I have an example for you here, and this is making a career goal smart. And this can be cascaded if it's a financial goal, if it's a fitness goal, it could even be a relationship goal, and it could be a personal growth goal that you have. Make it very specific. If you look at this career goal, I aim to be promoted to a management position in my department. This is very specific to the person. Measurable, I'll measure my progress by completing a leadership training course, successfully leading at least 2 major projects and receiving positive feedback from my supervisor and team members. Measurable. Achievable, to achieve this, I'll seek mentorship from a current manager, take on additional responsibilities, and actively participate in team building activities. So you're looking at, how do I achieve this particular career goal for myself? Relevant. We've seen how it's important to have a relevant, having ensuring that the goal is relevant to your season, or whatever thing that is within your season. So for, if it's a career goal, this promotion aligns with my long-term career aspirations of advancing into a leadership role and contributing more significantly to the company's success. And time bound, which we have lastly talked about, I'll work towards achieving this promotion within the next 6 months, setting quarterly milestones to ensure I stay on track. I like this because this also includes milestones. And so for you, it's important to have a milestone. And so that are you working, are you in the journey towards getting that goal, or do you need to, assess certain things? Do you need to adjust? So you have milestones along the way, especially if it's a long-term goal. Have particular milestones that it's like when you're going when you're going to for a road trip, rather. You'll say, when you get to this, at least you're halfway there. When you get to this, you're three-quarter way there to the destination. So have a milestone as you work towards the goal. So you can make this into any type of goal, as I mentioned earlier. And if you look at it, it's very, very, this is very clear, and it makes it easier when you know what type of action that you need to take to achieve that goal. Remember, I started by saying a goal properly set is halfway reached. As you have seen, we've taken some time, because setting goals is a process. It's a process because you want to get it right from the start. I started by asking you, how many white items can you see in the room that you are? It's a process. So you've looked at making the goal specific. We've looked at making the goal measurable. We've looked at making the goal attainable. And we've looked at making the goal relevant. And lastly, we've looked at making the goal time bound. But I don't want to end there. I want to share 5 things that I think is important, even as you set your goal and as you begin to work towards that goal. And maybe you are in the process of working towards achieving a certain goal. Start by writing it down. Start by writing it down. If you don't write it down, you do not have a goal. You have a wish. So I've given you a way in which you can make that into a smart goal. Write it down for yourself. I remember, I think it was in October last year. I remember writing down the financial goal I wanted to achieve, and I was very specific to to the, I was very specific, this amount of money I want to make within this particular month, and this is how I'm going to attain it, and this is what I need to do. I truly can hear and say I got that, I got more than even that amount because I was very specific. A lot of us, we have goals, but they are wishes because we've not written them down. And a research was done, and the research was done by Dr. Gail Matthews. And a goal, a goal, you can be able to achieve 42% of a goal by just writing it down. So please write, anytime that you have a goal in mind, write it down. There's something that happens to your mind and your brain that opens up to see possibilities once you write it down. So write down that goal if you have not written your goal. And I will say, we've seen that a goal is a process. So the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. And depending on the goal you have for yourself, once you start working towards it, it's not the same day that you will it's not the same day that you will achieve it. Depending on your goal, some goals take time, some goals can come faster, but it doesn't mean that you'll get it the same day. Be patient. We've seen just making it into a smart goal is a process. It's a journey. Similarly, depending on the goal that you have, give it time. I say give it time, and so that you're patient with yourself, so that you're not frustrated, so that even you can grow even as you work towards that particular goal. So give that goal time, and I think it's important because sometimes when we work on our goals, sometimes we face setbacks. I say every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Maybe you're working on a goal earlier this year. It could be a financial goal, a career goal, maybe this particular area you had wanted to achieve within that goal. One of the things that I have, when I have a goal getter course, and we talk about having a growth mindset. And having a growth mindset is so important because along the journey of life, sometimes we'll have setbacks, sometimes we will have detours. But if you look at it from a setup, in the sense that what should I learn from this setback? What do I need to change when it comes to this setback? For you, it will become a comeback. So every setback is, maybe there's a setback you faced on a goal. This is your reminder. Get back at that goal, And this time you are not starting from scratch. This time you're starting with experience. And when you're working on a goal, it's definitely improving yourself, depending if it's your career, your finances, you're improving yourself. So as you work on that path, as you work on that journey, there will be setbacks. There will be challenges. There will be victories. So celebrate your successes and also celebrate certain setbacks are actually for you to even come back stronger. So look at those milestones and say, what is the lesson here that I need to learn, and what do I need to do different? Even within the goal getter course, the last week we talk about resilience. Because if there's one thing that I think, which is something that we need to all have, is resilience. Resilience when you're working towards something that is bigger, maybe it's a vision. Resilience when it comes to working on that goal, because setbacks, detours are part of life. And as I said, it's a setup for a comeback. So look at it from a growth mindset. And I think it's important for me to say this. As you pursue your goals, don't lose sight of what truly matters to you. You know, don't lose sight of who you are. Don't lose sight of your family. Don't lose sight of your faith. Don't lose sight of your friends. I think in the journey of a life and in the journey of working towards whatever goals you have, don't lose sight of what truly matters, beginning with you. Don't lose sight of yourself. And that's why sometimes it's good to take time to have self-care. Take time for a break. Take time to reflect. Take time to assess so that you don't lose sight of what matters towards the areas of your life, even as you pursue that goal. And I began by saying, what is your vision? what's the overall thing that will guide you towards working on your goals. And vision is more long term. Ask yourself, who am I at 40? Who am I at 45? Who I want to be. You may not really know, because a lot of changes can happen, but it's important to be very specific. And even as you change course, you knew this is the destination that you wanted to work towards. So have a vision for yourself. And I want to end by saying, you got this. You got this. You got this. Depending on the goal that you are working towards, you got this. You got this as you work on your SMART goal, as you make it specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And I'd love to know, what are you taking with you today, even as you continue working towards your goal? And what can you begin to start today? For you, maybe it's writing down. For you, it's making it measurable. For you, it could be breaking it down. For you, it could actually be assessing, this goal that I have, is it something that I can work with now, or do I need to be on a pause and take something different? Because my season now cannot manage with what I have. So begin to think about, what can I begin to start to do today? Maybe it's a goal that you fell off, and it's a goal that is very precious towards your purpose. Maybe this could be a sign you just need to start back at it again. Setbacks are your comebacks. So I want to encourage you to keep on going. You got this. And you're most welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Beatrice Ithau is my handle, to know more about goal setting. And if you are interested to work on your own personal vision board, I'd love to guide you through the process. You can reach out to me, and I would really be happy to help. As I said, you've got this. Thank you so much, Noreen. Truly, truly excited to see feedback, comments from what I have shared this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beatrice, for taking us through this. It's so elaborate and so well prepared and has a lot of detail. And I'm grateful that you took the time to prepare this for this mentorship session. This is one of the things that I get asked a lot, is when people are looking for mentors on how do I set my goals, how do I set my goals. But I think one of the things that you've brought out very, very clearly is the fact that goal setting, and even the awareness that you need to be setting a goal, is an intrinsic value. Because a lot of what you have shared is basically from the point of, you need to sit down with yourself, you need to be having a meeting with yourself. Now, if I were to move on to the Q&A section, Beatrice, I'll just start with something that I've thought of as you were walking through the slides, going through the slides, and I wanted to ask, in your opinion, if we were to classify our goals, because at the same time, we do not want to find ourselves in a position where you have so many goals that you don't even know which one you want to achieve first. But if we were to classify them, what classifications of goals do you think we should be working on?
That's a very good question. And I think, if I look at it, there are very many goals that I have mentioned even as we go through today's session. I think for me the answer is, what I would ask the person, what is your season and what is relevant to you now? And I'd give myself currently, from what I want to achieve. For me, I'm working towards, I'm already a speaker, so I have goals in place. So that part of the goals is personal growth. you know Part of the goals is, adding skills to it. Part of the goals is, how do I also how do I make myself aware, from a personal perspective or from a business perspective. So if you look at it, I've been able to narrow down on the goals that I want to achieve and the specific action based on the relevance and the season that I am in. So I would ask, what is the season the person has? Then they can be able to categorize, for this particular 5 months, maybe in the next 5 months of the year, there are critical things that I want to work towards. And so for what I always say is that, that question is very good. And I always tell people, um, it's good to have many goals, but I think when you're more focused on the key goals that you want to achieve, you'll find three goals, when you work on three goals, or even if you work on one goal, that could be the anchor goal that could even allow you to meet other goals. So let me give an example. Maybe you're working on a financial goal. Remember, finances has an impact on very many areas within your life. If you're able to uh, meet yourself from a financial perspective, your finances also affects your career. Your finances a lot of times also affect your health. If you're financially fit, it also has an impact on your health. So in terms of the categories, I would ask the person what is relevant to them, what are their values, what do they want to achieve, and they can break down based on the various examples, if it's a fitness, if it's a health, if it's a relationship goal, or it's a personal growth goal. Then we can then narrow down the categories that are suitable for them and what they want to achieve, either immediately or over a longer period of time.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I hear you when you say just ask yourself what season are you in, because I think it also answers a parallel question that in the frame of I've heard you've spoken about setting smart goals and, but I still don't get it. Where do I start from? And I think what you just said has answered that question. If you have no clue where to start from, figure out what season of life you are in. Righty. So the next question, I'm just going to project it on the screen, Beatrice, is what common mistakes do we make when we are setting smart goals, and how can we avoid them? I know you've mentioned about, no, let me not speak for you. Let me just hand it over to you. You've been doing this for a while. What are some of the common mistakes you see us making when we are setting these goals, and how can we avoid them?
And thank you for that question, Roylene. I've shared a couple, but I think one of the mistakes we make is making goals unrealistic. I think sometimes because we sometimes can get excited, in realistic in two ways. Number one, the goal could be so big, and then number two, you also give it a very short timeline. So you have to make sure, is this goal that I have attainable? And that's why I started by telling you, if you want to make sure that this goal is attainable, assess yourself, review your resources, review your time, review your skills, because beginning of the year, I tell you, Noeline, what usually happens, maybe give an example. What usually happens, we have so many people who go to the gym, but by the third week of January, what happens? There are fewer people. Why? Because that the goal that they had for themselves was not even attainable, and the other goal they had for themselves, the other mistake they did was that goal maybe was not relevant. Maybe sometimes it can be a crazy. I want to start the year health goal, but it may not be relevant to your season. And so you follow other people, but you find yourself dropping off. Another one is relevance. I've talked about attainable, but I think also another mistake is related to time bound. Mistake is sometimes we are not patient. We don't give the goal time. And some goals could be short term, but depending on so many factors, you may find you may need to give that goal a bit more time. So what happens when you don't see the result? You stop working towards your goal. Or when you stop being consistent, you stop seeing results, you stop working towards your goal. And so I think it's important, as we have gone through the acronym SMART, look at, evaluate that goal through this lens. Did I make it smart? Because if you didn't make it specific, that could be a mistake. You're saying you want to update your skills. What skill do you want to update? What role do you want to take up? If it's a career goal and you want a promotion, make it very specific, so you don't make it vague. That's a mistake. measurable. If you're saying, you want to get to certain kgs, include that kg. If you want to drop or increase, include it. Another mistake, you're not making it measurable. And remember, I've mentioned what does not get measured can't get managed. Equally, when it comes to finances, make it measurable. So those are
Hi, Beatrice. We've lost you. Can you hear me? All right, guys. Let's just give me a moment to reach out to Beatrice. Please put in your hi, Beatrice.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes, you're back. Karibu. Please go on.
Look at the acronym SMART. There are very many mistakes that people can identify with, perhaps looking at the goal that they have before them. So look it through that lens and see, where could I be making a mistake? I think, as I mentioned, patience. A lot of us need to be patient, and a lot of us need to give time towards getting the results when it comes to the goal that you're working towards.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's interesting that you've spoken about the gym because I've for years and my friends actually have told me this time and time again. I've been saying I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. And one of them is a nutritionist is studying, very passionate about nutrition, and the other one went through the journey that I wanted to go through before, and she was able to get fit. And they both said to me, Noeline, when you're ready, when you want this thing, you're going to become very specific about it. And it became a what I call a mouth goal. It's just coming out of your mouth and you're not doing anything about it. Until this year when I was like, okay, you know what? We need to lose this many kgs by the end of the year. So even on the mornings when I'm like, it's too cold, where am I going? I still wake up and I go to the gym. And I've begun seeing the results. So I hear you when you're talking about some of these goals that we set that are out there and the mistakes that we make with them. And speaking of it, Beatrice, I think part of the things that we struggle with is the motivation to keep going. Perfect example is with the gym. You go week one, your muscles are screaming at you. Week two, your muscles are like, okay, I think we can do this. Week three, you yourself decide, Aish, I'm done. It's a wrap. I'm gone. That's a motivation issue. So, how can someone stay motivated and committed to their SMART goals, especially when facing obstacles or setbacks, whether we've made them internally or they are external?
Thank you, Noeli, for that question. I think a lot of us can attest to that. You want to, you have that you have maybe it's a fitness goal in the gym. You want that result immediately, or you start working on being consistent towards even if reading a book, but along the way life happens. Let me share a couple of things, and let me begin by saying that when you make a goal SMART, it starts by asking yourself, is this goal relevant? And relevant is, that's why I ask people, what is your why? A lot of the times we don't have a why to the goal that we have. What is the purpose to the goal? A lot of the people who have a greater, not looking at it from a goal perspective, a purpose perspective. A purpose is more than just a goal. It's driving you. Even when things get tough, it is driving you. Of course, sometimes you may tell me, this may not be my purpose. But then again, you know, Noeline, last year I had a discussion with one of my clients, and we sat down with her, and she put we worked on her vision board for herself. And when we work on her vision board, one of the things that she had included was, she wanted to really get into fitness. And we went through a couple of questions. And the question I kept on asking her, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And when we went deeper, She, she shared her personal things in terms of why she wants to do this, and then that became her motivation. A lot of us, when we want to work towards our goal, the reason we are not motivated is because, number one, there's no why. I would have quickly said, maybe award yourself, but I think it goes deeper. Why are you working towards this goal? And it starts by, there's usually there's usually and I hope I can remember, but there's usually something in the sense that you can ask yourself three questions. The first, if you're working towards this financial goal, ask yourself, why am I working towards it? So that I can meet my bills. Why do you want to build? So that it allows me to live stress-free life. Why do you want to live a stress-free life? Go deeper towards that goal, because that when you go deeper, you're able to find out what is going to be my motivation when I'm working towards that goal. If you look at athletes who have to prepare many years to only show up for for even for some of them, depending on the sport, for minutes, there has to be a deeper why. It goes more beyond the money for some. It's because there's a deeper purpose. And so I'll answer that question by asking, what is your why? Because that will be your sense of motivation even when the setbacks come. And the other way is, of course, reward yourself. That could be another way, rewarding yourself even as you are working towards your goal. If it's a fitness goal, you could say, if I show up for the gym for the next 1 month, I'm going to reward myself. That could be a way of motivating yourself. And I talked about these milestones. Have milestones. The milestone for you is maybe you want to write a book. The milestone could be you've got to the first chapter of the book. That's a milestone. Celebrate that milestone. It includes what I've said earlier. I'll reward yourself for that milestone. Those are ways in which you can stay motivated and commitment, especially when you face obstacles or setback. But the most important thing I'd love to leave you with, ask yourself why. Go deeper, because that could be your motivation, and that could help you remain committed toward working on that goal.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that response, Beatrice. I have a question that I'm going to try and answer, Beatrice, even as I hand it over to you to add your thoughts to it. And the question is, how can setting smart goals contribute to long-term success and personal growth? And just speaking from my own experience, if you look at it from a career perspective point of view, if you have these goals that you've set up, they help you understand, where do I want to go with my career. Francine Parham in her book says, if you're not planning for your career, somebody else is going to do it. If you don't have goals to plan for your finances, somebody else is going to do it. And that's where black tax comes from. Like, there's somebody who knows, either way, if I call Modoni, Wanjiko, whoever his name is, they're going to have money to give me. That's where it comes from. If you have goals that you're also chasing, and you know how tight your budget is, then you know just how much room you have. And how does this help with long-term success? From a career point of view, you'll be able to tell, where I am right now, are there opportunities or not? You'll be able to start looking for those opportunities. If they are there, then you become lesser focused on getting the opportunities that you need. If you're not there, they're not there, then it's time to have a conversation and ask yourself, do I want to continue staying in this space, or do I want to uproot myself and grow in a different space? It really does help, or else time just passes by and you find yourself where you were last year. This period is the same place where you are this year at this period. My take. Beatrice, over to you. What do you think?
I love how you put it, Noeline. Let me just add, even as you work towards your goal, I think it's important to also look at, who do you become? Who do you become when you work towards that particular goal? From experience, if I look at who Beatrice was in the last 5 years and who I am today, those are totally different people, because I've had to stretch myself, because you're working towards a particular goal. I have had to move beyond my comfort zone. I have had to do things that I would never have imagined that I would do. I have had to put myself in spaces that ordinarily I would say no, I'm not up to the task. But because I have a smart goal that I want to achieve, then I find myself over the years growing, growing as a person, growing as someone who is inspiring people, and even doing my own personal growth. I mentioned earlier, if I'm going into becoming a speaker, what do I need to do? That means I also need to put myself in situations where I'm speaking. That means I need to also read books around speaking. That means I need to put myself in areas where, yes, I'm going to become a speaker. And so I think the another thing when it comes to goals is what can I say? The byproduct is you find yourself growing. Because remember, by the time you're sitting down and you are putting down a goal, if it's a financial goal, of course, you will put it from a positive perspective. You want to invest, you want to get out of debt, you want to, maybe you want to get more revenue income stream. That is already growth. If it's a fitness goal, maybe you want to get to a certain BMI, that's already growth. If it's a relationship, depending on what you want to achieve, that's already growth. I think there's a quote that says, goals give you direction. And a lot of us, let me give an example closer home. It's like how you start a destination. When you have a goal, you are very clear you want to get to this particular location. But if you don't have a goal, you're stuck at that particular point. And there's where, let me add to that. There's where sometimes we find people saying, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. You're stuck because you don't have direction. You're stuck because you're not very specific in terms of what you need to do and what you need to achieve. And that's why I believe setting goals is important for anyone. And I believe everyone who's joined in, there's something that they want to achieve for themselves. And that's why they have joined in. And that's why goals are important, because goals move you from one area to another area. Goals challenge you. Goals move you beyond your comfort zone. And goals makes you be aware of the possibilities that you would never have imagined. But because you've put it down, you'll find yourself working towards it. Thank you, Noeline.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beatrice, for sharing that. I think I'll just load on one more question, looking at the time that we have, and then we'll wrap it up. But thank you so, so much for your response. Allow me to make it a little personal, Beatrice, and just ask, can you share a personal story or a case study where SMART goals played a crucial role in achieving a significant milestone?
Yes, thank you, Noeline, for that particular question. I have, let me share a case study. One of the things when I started the goal sessions, which was in December 2022, I remember, I had called in a couple of people to come in, and I had even people who I didn't know joining the session. And I think people were really, really enthusiastic when it came to them achieving their goals. And so I gave people some of the steps I've shared with you this evening. I shared with them, how do you make it a SMART goal? How do you prepare, I even gave them some tips when you're working towards your goal. And if you want to work towards your vision, these are the couple of things that you need to do. So I remember that was in December 2022. And flashback to now forward to the 6 months, 6 months to that year. I remember one of the people who had joined in the sessions, a lady. She came and she sat down with me and she told me, "Oh my goodness, Beatrice, you will not guess what has happened." I was like, "Okay, what happened?" She's like, "Immediately we you shared with me how to work on my goal and the vision that I can do have for myself. I had a time to reflect, and she told me she sat down. She sat down with the goals. She wrote down. She made it very specific what she wanted, and by that June, she told me she was able to achieve a couple of goals that she had for herself. One of the goals was in line with a relationship goal that she had wanted to achieve. Another goal that she had wanted to achieve was a business goal that she had wanted to achieve. Just recently, I think 4 weeks ago, she ticked off a travel goal that she had wanted to achieve, and that goal was something that she had really wanted to do. And when we were talking, she was actually talking from a different country because she had wanted to travel after a long period of time. For me, it taught me that goals make dreams realistic. These are things that she had dreamt about. These are things that she had desired. These are things that she had longed. Had they all come? Had they all come immediately? No. Why am I sharing her story? I'm sharing her story because goals have a process. You know, even as she was telling me that, she mentioned to me a couple of obstacles that she faced along the journey, but she was resilient to continue to work towards the goal. Now she's in a happy, amazing relationship, enjoying the relationship in a different country, and still working towards growing her business. For me, I think that showed me the possibility of setting a smart goal and the possibility of saying, you know what, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to work towards it. So I hope anyone who's listening in, give that goal time. Give that goal time. Keep working, keep being resilient. Setbacks will come along the way, but your story could be different. Her story amazed me, and to date, I see the power of setting a smart goal and how you can be able to achieve very many milestones once you work towards it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beatrice, for your response and for sharing all that you've shared with us this evening. And with this, I'll say that we have come to the end of today's mentorship session on setting smart goals. Beatrice has dropped a lot of valuable nuggets that will guide us as we do an evaluation of ourselves as we work on our goals. Just one last question, Beatrice. Please forgive me for throwing this in there. Is to ask you, when we do an evaluation of where we are on our goals and you realize you are lagging behind, in your opinion, what should one do when you find yourself in that place of, for example, with weight loss? I wanted to lose, give it a rough number, 10 kgs, but I've only lost six. And okay, six is a good number because it's above 50%, maybe 4 kgs. When you find yourself in that space where you are further away from the goal than you would have hoped to be, what do you do then?
That's a very good question, Noeline. I think I would answer it by asking if is a person not were they able to, you have to also ask yourself, because every goal, especially when it comes to fitness, it can be there could be many factors that could be why you were not able to achieve the goal. Could it be anything to do with nutrition that needs to be checked, to be managed? Could it be, maybe it could be a workout, a fitness that needs to be done so that you can get towards the goal? Could it be maybe also, I'd mentioned earlier, another way in which you can be able to assess the goal is maybe even having someone who's within that line of fitness to let you know how can you be able to achieve the goal, especially if you're behind, because I realize sometimes you may find maybe there's one particular thing that you need to do so that you can even accelerate achieving that particular goal. But of course, being mindful of because everyone's fitness journey is different, and finding out, is it something that is possible, or do you need to give it more time? So that's how I would look at it, even when it comes to financial goal. To add to that, if you're lagging behind, there are many questions that could be a factor. Could it be something that happened that was unplanned, that made you fall back on the goal? Could it be maybe there's a particular bill that you had not factored in that made you, for that particular month, not save as much as you had wanted? Because I know that life happens. So I guess this is where, tying back to your question, if it's a fitness goal and you are lagging behind, you'd have to look back and see, if you are tracking it consistently, what happened that you're lacking behind? Is there something that perhaps you need to assess and change? Do you need to get somebody who can even help you evaluate, so that you can be able to accelerate towards achieving that particular goal? So that's how holistically look at it.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for your response and for the guidance. One of the things I really, really value about every single guest mentor that we have on this platform is the fact that you are speaking from lived experience. It's not theoretical. We are not regurgitating what we've read from books. It's actually, we have lived through it, or we have helped somebody to live through it. And for this reason, Beatrice, I'm very grateful that you've made the time this evening to speak with us. I'm grateful that you made the time to make the PowerPoint presentation, and I'm grateful that you have shared with us of your wisdom and of your knowledge and of your experience. Thank you so much. As you have watered us, may you also be watered.
Thank you. You're most welcome, Noeline. I want to truly applaud you for having these particular sessions where people can come, learn, grow, get challenged. I think this is such a great platform and a great space. And may you continue to thrive, to grow. And we applaud you again. It takes courage to create such platforms and to consistently show up for them. So kudos to you. And I'm so grateful to everyone who has joined in this particular session. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on my handle, Beatrice Ithau, and I'd love to get to know how I can help you, if it's a goal question, vision question. And I would love to ensure that you achieve that particular goal. So you're welcome, Noeline, and looking forward to see what the future holds for everyone who has set a smart goal for themselves.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Beatrice. And we have come to the end of our live stream and our mentorship session today. Have a fantastic balance of day to everyone, and have a beautiful balance of week. We'll see you next week, same time, Wednesday, 6 p.m. Have a good evening. Goodbye.